How long can it take Nigeria to heal from the injuries inflicted by the mishandling of the recent general election? How long, too, can it take for President-elect Bola Tinubu to begin to enjoy a wider level of acceptance among Nigerians as he prepares to assume the mantle of office? To have a conversation, we're now being joined from our Iced Abuja studio by Shittu Mohammed, a former chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council, former presidential candidate, and Secretary General, National Integration Forum. Many thanks for joining us, Alhaji. Good morning. Good to have you.
Thank you. Good morning, my brother. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, as you know, it's been more than a month after the presidential election that, gave victory to the candidate of your party, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And it is less than 2 months to his inauguration, bearing any unforeseen circumstances. What will be your assessment of the preparation towards inauguration, and what should Nigerians be looking forward to in terms of the sort of government that will take over from the President Muhammadu Buhari APC government that, for want of a better word, a lot of people have complained intensely about it because of insecurity, because of economy, and because of just the general mood of the nation? What should people be expecting from the Asiwaju government?
Thank you. Good morning, Nigerian, and my sisters. Good morning, all of you there. I believe that the question that should go to our mind first is, why do we get ourselves here? Why do people now losing hope in the democratic process? Why people are getting frustrated? When I was chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council, we come up with about 3 bills. And one of that bill in 2011, in collaboration with our donors basket, the International Republican Institute and the Democratic Institute, what will come up is what you call proportional representation. Proportional representation means that if Party A and Party B and Party C, Party A get, let's assume, 51%. Party B get 49%. Party A go home with his victory. And there will be no inclusive. It is total, and then the winners take all. Then Party B with 49% will go home and wait for another 4 or 8 years. I think this is where we got it wrong. Secondly, if you look at where we borrow our democratic process from, which is United States of America, and Argentina and other countries that practice this type of democratic process, there are mechanisms with which they put in place that make the democratic war. Even China practice democracy in their own character. Then the question comes to Nigeria: what type of democratic process are we embarked on? We didn't build our democratic process according to our own character. And that is why we're having this problem. And that is why when I was chairman of Inter-Party, I brought that solution that let us have proportional representation. If Party A get 51% and Party B get even 25 to 30%, Party B should be given proportional representation in the National Assembly. And all, probably, if you like, give them also in the administration, so that that thing they are propagating, they will now go into legislative and put it on legislative work, so that it will come up. Then they won't lose hope, because they know that they are now propagating. What advantage are we getting out of this? 2 advantage. We are nurturing our democratic process, because he has gone to National Assembly, you will embed that his own ideology in the constitution or in the amendment. And then you create ideological political parties that will now believe in the country. But as it is today, if you win and you go home, that is now, people are now agitating. People are now saying this or that, and not that people don't believe in democratic process, but the process is what they are now looking. How must I go home to wait for 4 years? Answer to their heart is no. Then what shall I do? The devil comes in. Then we start running. And by then, it has serious impact on our economic. Even our economic process is not built according to our culture and belief. What type of economy are you playing? Liberal economy? Welfare economy? What type of economy are we practicing?
Yes, Alhaji.
We have
yes,
to
Alhaji.
sit down as people.
Yes, Alhaji. So how will this change?
Yes.
How will this change, sir? Now that we have a president-elect, he has 3 months to prepare. He's probably working on his team. So basically the issues that you have raised, how will they be different from May to 29th once Asiwaju becomes the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria?
First of all, I know Asiwaju has told Nigerians that he's going to do government of national competence. I want him to add that it will be a national government of national unity and integration, because we need to integrate Nigeria. There are certain things now, if you do inclusive governance, where everybody is being taken along, we will see that people would pipe down. People will not be desperate. And when it comes, we can now put up a conference or a committee or whatever we call it. We have done many that has not worked. But he has been in this game. He's a father of political game. He has come from being godfather, even from follow to godfather to now president of Federal Republic, president-elect of Federal Republic of Nigeria. He has seen it all. I think it's the best time for us to first of all do inclusiveness governance. Secondly, put up ourselves and now look at where we've gone wrong, where we'll go for. Because 24 years into our democratic process, we can't call ourselves nascent democrat again. We are no more nascent democratic. We are now supposed to show to other African countries that we have arrived. And we can't do that without building it according to our own culture and belief. It's time for us to now look. If you look at China, China took democracy from the West, built it according to socialism of the Russia, and now enshrine into it character of China. The same thing we need to do in Nigeria. This our democracy is too expensive. How do we reduce it? What do we do? Are we still going to continue with bicameral legislature? If we are continuing with it, is it going to be as it is today, where our chief executives have to go cap in hand and begging for the appropriation of their fund? We have to look at that side. We have to look at, okay, political parties. In China, you have 9 political parties. 8 are other party with CCP, which is now the head of political parties of China. And then they have multi-party cooperation and consultative. And that is where the decision that concern China is taken. And any decision that is taken in that consultative forum, they go on to implement. Is the national policy of China. We should also look towards that. All political parties they should put them together, move with the country, then everybody will now know, either from opposition side or from the winning side, we stop winner take all and continue and move the country forward. We have potentials. The world look at us. Africans are looking at us. If you look at the world today, God has given us what we're supposed to use to bring the world to Nigeria, as I've always said. It is time for us to sit down, put our country. Luckily, I also want to commend all the presidential candidates, because we say, okay, go to court. And everybody now has gone to court. Let judiciary do their due diligence and be justice and be seen to be fair, in their judgment. You see that the country will bounce back, will get to that promising land, that honey and everything, milk and honey, everything. I think we have reached the time that Asiwaju has to now lead Nigeria into that promised land.
Okay, I would like to come in here, even though we are, of course, talking about, healing the wounds from the 2023 election. But another thing that has come up that seems to be a threat to the inauguration that is expected to happen on May 29th is the fact that the DSS have, of course, stated that there have been meetings going on for some time to sponsor endless violent mass protests, a declaration of state of emergency, and frivolous court injunctions to forestall, the inauguration of the president-elect. Now, what is the technical and, strategic way to handle this going forward? And it's a two-part question, because also on the issue of the interim government, it's come up before the elections, and now we're hearing about it again. We know this concept or this idea is unconstitutional and, of course, has no basis in the law whatsoever. So how do we curb such from happening again?
Thank you. I may take you back. And that is why I provide a solution to say there must be inclusiveness government and everybody must bring on board. And it is time for us to build a political system that will reflect our own character, that will integrate the country. And I'll take you back to 1998-99. When President Obasanjo came, you find out that we have, in fact, from Abdul Salam. If you look at the registration of the three parties, APP, PDP, and AD, AD came at last because they could not get spread. But in order for us to have peace, President then Abdul Salam approved the three political parties, including the AD. AD today has metamorphosed from AD to AP to this. Today, President-elect Tinubu has brought it into the limelight, and now it's everywhere. Where I'm going is that for us, what drives people to start asking for either interim government, either we don't allow this or that, is because winner takes all. When Obasanjo win, he brought AD, he gave them all 2 or 3 ministers, he gave APP ministers, he gave his own party, he brought everybody together, and that is why for the 8 years, you find out people accept democratic process. Now, we have left that area. When Yar'Adua came, he also called on Nigerian. For somebody like me, he made me a board member and become of National Commission for Democracy. When I've written letter to him when he was governor, talking about National Commission for Nomadic Education. And as a president, I said, look, I'm not taking you anywhere. You should come along with us. Go into this National Commission, see how you build National Commission for Nomadic Education into a bigger perspective. We wouldn't have had the problem we are having today on elders clash. And then that is why we are saying the next government, because every government has its own peculiarity, the next government must integrate Nigeria. It has become on the must for us to integrate Nigeria, for us to believe in the country, for us to remove issue of this one is an indigene, this is not an indigene, this. It is time for us to sit down and do that and integrate the country, and because the major focus of our international policy now should not be Afrocentric, but our economy. Our economy is what matters now. Look at the world. The world needs grains, especially the wheat. Now, I was in Kano last week when in demonstration farms, and we have better wheat in Nigeria. So it's better for us now to look at how do we promote our economic activities and bring the world to Nigeria than for us to be, for us. So we can't do that if we don't build our political and economic system according to our own character. And that is why we are saying first thing to do is to integrate the country. How do we integrate the country? Take everybody along.
Okay.
From
okay,
every party.
Okay, Alhaji.
Whoever can help the country.
Yeah.
Bring them together. Let them move the country forward.
Okay, Alhaji, let me just ask you to be a bit specific in the prescription that you are giving to the president-elect, given the fact that he has said clearly, and you alluded to that he is not interested in government of national unity, that all he wants to do is to form a government of national competence, which is a new one, within the lexicon of Nigerian, contemporary Nigerian politics. People have drilled down to say that what Asiwaju possibly meant by government of national competence is that he will not go outside of his party and go outside of those that he is certain can deliver. A lot of people who are close to him have given, insinuations that seem to suggest that it's a government of we them, who them be, and order kind of thinking. And you said it, winner takes all kind of politics. How do you therefore think...
Syndrome.
Yes, syndrome. How do you think, therefore, that the party, and in particular, the president-elect, will accede to your suggestion of not just a government of national unity, but a government of national unity and integration? And by that, do you mean that he should go beyond the walls and the confines of the APC to not just focus on competence? Competence is a requirement without a doubt, but to also consider the fact that he probably came in with less than 30% of acceptance as far as the February 25th election, goes, and then reach out with humility, with creativity, decisively, to bring other people on board. Is that your precise prescription to the president-elect?
Thank you. I'm a proponent, even on this channel, about merit. I'm a proponent of merit. But every circumstances, every have its own peculiarity. Today, what we need is integration of the country, unity, and peace. That is what we need. You can't achieve this if you don't open your government to all political party, all, not even only political party, all interests that that will help in integrating, bringing peace and harmony in the country. Now, for you, that's the circumstances of today's political system. And that is why I started from 1999. The circumstances Obasanjo found himself then, President Obasanjo, the father, then, is that he came in, he has the military to contend with, he need to move political party alongside with him so that it won't crash. He did that. He was able to hold military for the 8 years. And when Yar'Adua II came, he opened, he apologized for the election that brought him. Nigerian accepted. He brought everybody from every strata of the country, including me. Then I was opposition. He brought us into government. He was able to move his government. And then you found that Jonathan inherited that. I think the only time that we only have in Nigeria that no government does not bring other political party or other interests is President Muhammad Buhari. And today, you can see what has happened. That is why we have so much agitations in the country. Because people are now looking at for 8 years again, and that is why you have. Therefore, in order to bury and be able to integrate, bring peace, move so that our economy will move, is for us to go into government of national unity, integration, to bring peace and accord among ourselves. I believe that I'm not talking for President-elect Bola Tinubu, but I believe inside him, he will not say that. Because even before he became the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, when I was National Chairman of Republican Party of Nigeria, he consulted me. He comes, we discuss. In most of even state elections, he consulted us for state elections. I don't think as a president-elect of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that is what he means. He means competence in the area of talking about merit. Yes, but merit also go with unity of the country. I don't believe, from what I can deduct from him, what he also says is just the same with what I'm saying today. I believe so, unless otherwise. But the man I know of, Asiwaju, he do consultation. As chairman of Interparty Advisory Council, he was the first person to consult me, congratulate us, consult us, and talk about multi-party system. So I don't think when he now come to power, he will now deviate from what he has been practicing even. And you can even see, he is the one who bring the marriage of how many political parties together. The APC that you have today, he brought ABGA in, he brought his own AC in, he brought CPC in, and they merge and then come into government. I don't believe that he meant that just merit will determine or be the bane of his reward. I don't think that will happen now. The circumstances we are now, if I will advise, what we need is government of national unity, integration, and so that we can have peace and move our economy forward. And that's my belief. If you look at even the deputy Kashim Shettima, I always tell people, it's more of integration. He stay more in Lagos, he believe more in this traverse, is more with the eastern part, is even more with the Igbo than even the. So I don't think they will come with that mindset of saying it is going to be only APC members. I don't think so. I'm not their spokesperson, and I'm not speaking for them. But my few interaction with him as a chairman of Interparty Advisory Council and as a political party chairman, I've discussed so many times, and I know his mind is to bring people together. Whoever you are, he will bring you to be able to salvage the country.
Okay, Mr. Mohammed, I mean, you keep referring to, bringing people together and, of course, advocating, togetherness. However, one of the biggest wounds from the general elections, of course, was the fears that a lot of politicians use the certain speeches to widen disunity and threaten the already fragile peace in the country. And I'm referring to certain statements that had ethnic undertones and had tribalistic undertones. Even just this week, we saw an individual having to write to the ICC regarding certain statements that were made by Mr. Bayo Ononuga. Now, how do we push for national integration if even within, within the parties, we're not seeing any sort of consequences for certain statements that have been made by members of the party, be it in APC or even in PDP? How do we push for that if nothing has been done to these people?
That is why in my opening speech, I give you reason why people can be making any type of statement and people can be thinking otherwise. And I said, for that to stop, we must, first of all, we must be patriotic to the cause of the country. We must know that Nigerian is ours to salvage. We must know that we don't have any other place to go except Nigeria. You are a Nigerian first. That is why I'm even talking to you here. If you don't believe in that country, that is yours, and you believe that anything you can do it alone, it's not possible. And that is why I cite the example of China, who build their own democratic process according to their own culture and belief in their own character. And I say, let's do the same, because if in China, as I've said, you have multi-party consultative group, who is the senior body that take decision for China. And this body is head by CCP, that's China Communist Party, who headed 8 other political parties. Nobody ever hear of 8 other political parties. All you hear about China is CCP. But there are 8 other political parties. And these 8 political parties, they came together, form multi-party consultation, and whatever decision they take in that multi-party consultative, that is what they will use as a policy of that period for China when they are reviewing their policies. The same thing can happen here, because we are also diverse, we have culture, bring everybody together. And that is why I don't like repeating that's why we are saying the president-elect, from what we know, his followers may be saying different things. But the person that when I was chairman of Interparty Advisory Council, sat and discussed Nigeria with, I believe that he doesn't have that mindset. And the mindset cannot take Nigerian anywhere. This is not time for blame game. This is not time to say this one is doing this, this one wants to do this. No. It's time for us to put our hand on desk and make the Nigerian work and create Nigerian that work for all of us, that everybody belong. And when you bring everybody together, you won't have this problem. And that is why I give an example of President Obasanjo. Even during the military regime, look at President Babangida. He brought everybody together. There's no how, when now we are in democratic space, democratic process, you now come and say have a mindset of not bringing people together. Every time have its own circumstance. Every circumstance has its own peculiarity. The peculiarity, what we need to do as a country now, as patriotic Nigerians, if you are patriotic and you love this country and you want this country to move forward, and that is why we must put our hand together. And then we are urging that whoever is aggrieved, we are even thanking God that people have now accepted going to judiciary. It is left for judiciary now to do justice. It's left for judiciary to now show to the world that we can solve our problem ourselves.
Thank you
and
so
then
much.
Put a human face and be able to move the country forward.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shittu Mohammed, former chairman of Interparty Advisory Council and, of course, Secretary General of the National Integration Forum. It was a pleasure to have you here on The Morning Show.